Alright, back with another video. It's a video I've been wanting to make for a while. I was supposed to get this video earlier this year, but a lot of stuff got in the way. Anyways, my friends and family all know that I'm a car enthusiast. In fact, I have had an interest in cars my whole life. I've actually been photographing and filming cars since 2009. And I even have a car news series where I discuss current events within the automotive industry. However, there's one thing in particular about the automotive industry that's been infuriating me and every other car enthusiast for years. It's the plague known as fully autonomous cars, aka hipstermobiles. These things are the absolute worst thing to happen to the automotive industry, since cars such as the Ford Pinto that blew up in rear collisions. The reason why me and my friends refer to fully autonomous cars as hipstermobiles is because they're basically the car equivalent of hipsters. And only hipsters would want them. That's why I coined the term hipstermobile to begin with. Even though I've coined this term, everyone is free to use it. It may sound like a good idea since the operator doesn't have to drive, but the one fatal flaw in every single one of them is the fact that there's no way to drive it manually like you would with a real car. What I heard is that most people are actually against hipstermobiles, and that's how you know those people are not hipsters. I remember reading this news story in 2018 that said hipstermobiles have a more difficult time detecting people with darker skin. Of course, it's not the fault of those people. If anyone is to blame, it's the shitheads who are building the hipstermobiles to begin with. It's obviously one of the biggest flaws in the design of these so-called cars. We should have had flying cars by now, but there are some empty-headed fucknuggets out there who think that flying cars should be fully autonomous. Did anybody ask for flying hipstermobiles? Absolutely fucking not. Making a car that's fully autonomous is like combining gold with sewage. Just don't fucking do it. Another thing I need to mention is that every single hipstermobile ever made has an unappealing design. It's also going to drive people away from them. The only time a fully autonomous car has been done right is if the car is drivable with autopilot capabilities. Of course, Tesla does this with their cars, such as the Model S, Model 3, Model X, Model Y, and even the Semi. And yet, even Tesla wants to cave into this plague. What a fucking joke. Whenever an automaker unveils a new hipstermobile, I have a tendency to call them out on social media. I have done this when Mercedes-Benz and Audi unveiled new hipstermobiles a while back. Even BMW wants in on this plague. And they tried making a motorcycle as fully autonomous. Basically, this is just a scheme to get hipsters interested in motorcycles. I am going to go over some of the worst examples of hipstermobiles that have been unveiled over the past few years. First of all, we have the 2016 Mercedes-Benz Vision van concept. The biggest problem with this piece of revolting defecation is the fact that there's no steering wheel or pedals. Because of that, it's a hipstermobile and it should just be used by the German army for target practice. To mention that this thing is poorly designed also shows why 2016 is an absolute shit show and it's one of the worst years ever. Also, those dumb fucks over at Motor Authority claim that this is the next-gen Sprinter, which is obviously a bullshit statement. Besides, Motor Authority is just a really shitty publication to begin with. Another example is the 2017 Audi A-Con concept. This is by far the absolute worst vehicle Audi has ever shat out. Why? Because it's a hipstermobile. Actually, I had this piece of revolting defecation demolished in one of my stories. If only it was destroyed in the real world. Besides, it's another example as to why 2017 was even more of a clusterfuck than 2016. Next up is the 2010 GM ENV concept. You take one look at this thing and you know this isn't even a car to begin with. Besides, this thing doesn't even have any protection if it gets in a wreck. Let's just be thankful that this one never made it to production. The next example is the 2020 Hyundai Prophecy concept, aka Hyundai's biggest failure. I don't really need to go into further detail as to why this is Hyundai's worst vehicle since it's just another hipstermobile. The only sensible thing to do would be for Hyundai to give this thing to South Korea's Air Force so one of their F-35 pilots can use it for target practice. It's another fine example as to why 2020 was much worse than the previous 10 years combined. What's worse is that those dumb fucks over at that shitty-ass publication on its Hot Cars were praising this thing. Of course, this is one of many reasons as to why Hot Cars is the absolute worst publication ever. But that's a different story. I actually do have plans to, to make a video on why Hot Cars is the worst car publication ever. So look out for that. Another example is the 2018 Renault Easy Pro concept. This is nothing more than another failed concept vehicle that no one asked for, since it's just another hipstermobile. Renault also fucked up at the 2018 Easy Go concept. Like the previous vehicle, it's another hipstermobile. Renault, you are better than this. Do not make any more hipstermobiles, and especially don't bring any to production. Next up is by far the absolute worst vehicle from Rolls-Royce. It's the 100EX Vision Next 100 concept for 2016. This is by far one of the most poorly designed hipstermobiles ever, as you can see. And it's just been given to the Royal Air Force, and one of their F-35 pilots can use it for target practice. Our next example is by far the absolute worst vehicle from Volkswagen. It's the ID Vision concept for 2018. As you can see, this is another hipstermobile, and it was destroyed in the story that I wrote in 2018. A year later was when Volkswagen unveiled the ID Rooms concept. Unlike the abysmal ID Vision concept, the ID Rooms concept is actually drivable. So it looks like they just fucked up with the ID Vision concept. They followed it up with the 2018 Volvo 360C concept, aka Volvo's biggest failure. This piece of revolting deprecation is so poorly designed, it caused me to unfollow Volvo on all social media platforms. You're better than this, Volvo. Nobody wants any more hipstermobiles. It isn't just automakers that are caving into this plague, because you also have aircraft manufacturers like Boeing caving into this plague by making flying hipstermobiles, just this one prototype that they made in 2019. Keep in mind that if a flying car is fully autonomous, then it's not a true flying car. It's a flying hipstermobile. This is Boeing's absolute worst vehicle by far. To make things worse, 2 Boeing 737 Maxes crashed and killed everyone on board shortly after this thing took flight. Now, maybe it was a coincidence, maybe it wasn't. Either way, Boeing stocks had dropped after those 2 planes went down. Doesn't look like Boeing is continuing development of their flying hipstermobile as far as I know, and just wanted to focus on fixing the issues with the 737 Max. Which I think they've already figured that out. And keep in mind that those are just some notable examples of hipstermobiles. There's plenty more out there. Remember that some people say that hipstermobiles are the future of the automotive industry, which is obviously a bullshit statement, and it's not the future. Hipstermobiles are the embodiment as to why the automotive industry is fucked beyond belief. There are a number of numbskulls out there who claim that the hipstermobiles will decrease traffic, which is a bullshit statement. There's still going to be traffic no matter what. Some ways to decrease traffic would be to invest more in railways to make travel by trains more accessible. Another way is to make flying cars more widely available. No, they should not be fully autonomous. They need to be controlled manually by a pilot, but they could have autopilot mode like what's on some modern electric cars. They should also have some safety features in case something goes wrong, like if the car runs out of fuel. Now, I've been wanting to make this video for a while, and I was waiting for the right time to make it. From here on out, I will make a video calling out a certain car manufacturer whenever they decide to make a hipstermobile. And then I will post links to said video on social media. Now, I'm also going to share this video around to get the word out, about this plague, that the plague of hipstermobiles needs to stop. Filthy Frank said it best, it's time to stop. If you want to help get the word out, share this video so more and more people can see it, so they can realize that these hipstermobiles are nothing more than a plague. Anyways, I'm not going to include this video like how I normally do, because this is something I need to get out of my system.